All right, we are in the van and we're actually gonna build something today. So behind me you can see the water tank. It is one of the first things that I knew that I kind of needed to account for, and so all of my designs were based around this water tank. The first thing that I want to build is this. This is a little hard to see. I'll do some B-roll. But essentially it's a cage that goes around the water tank to keep it in place, so that it doesn't move, and it also will hold all of the like water pump, filters, heater, all of those kind of things on top of it. Then on top of that will be the bed. It'll go across to this wall, and then right here where I'm somewhat sitting will be where the desk will go. First things first, got to measure and figure out all of my dimensions on this and then get to cutting. So here we go. All right, so I already messed up. As you can see, I measured that all the way to the back here. Like it comes up to this back part. However, this is where I want it to go to. I want it to stop here. I can always build out a little cubby there, but I wanted it to be flush. So I need to actually move it back here. Not the most precise, but we're just trying to get rough estimates right here. So now that this is backed up to this and against that whole tube, I will mark those again. So this project has been kind of fun because it's kind of gotten me back to some of the engineering classes that I took in high school just to get a general sense of it, because I thought I might want to go into engineering. Then I got into electrical classes and decided against it, and here I am building a very electric forward vehicle. Anyway, so here again is that part that we've printed. I changed the design slightly. However, I have now gotten my measurements up. And as you can see, this drawing makes sense to nobody but me. But this drawing right here is the bottom of the frame. So it only is going to have 3 sides because the lower feet are going to sit on the ground and they will tie into the wall. So there's nothing along the back side because it's a wall. So it is 56 inches long to that measured back end, and then the tub is 12.5 inches deep, and the tube, the extruded aluminum, is 1 inch deep. So bear with me, 13.5 inches. The next one is this kind of middle shelf where all of the kind of components will sit. At the moment, I'm just going to do that bottom half. I'm going to save this extra part for when I actually have components and I can measure them and it makes sense. So it's the same dimensions, but this one I will probably end up doing a bar across the top here just so that there's a second thing for them to sit on rather than having to have to tie everything into the wall. And I just caught myself. Where's my marker? My marker. So instead of this being 56 inches, these will need to be, this one, nope, they'll both need to be 56 inches. As you can see, I'm mathing real hard. So then this on the end is the end plate. So it'll go here and here. Also, I'll need 2 of them. But as you can see, it doesn't have a top because this one will be resting on the tops of those beams because you should transfer your weight down. So I want to build that shelf as a unit and then have it tied in top down on top of those legs so that all of the weight transfers down into the floor of the van because that's the sturdiest part. So these are going to be 13 and a half inches wide to mirror these. And then the tank itself is 20 and a quarter inches tall. So I did 20 and a half just to kind of give myself a little bit of breathing room. But I didn't want to do them 21 and a half because that would be the depth of that top part, and that's going to be made up by the beams here. So I had to think through all of that. Fun little math. Anyway, now it's time to make the actual plunge. Up until this point, everything is just purchasing and buying and arranging and ideating. Now we're going to make a legitimate cut, and I'm a little nervous, but you got to start somewhere. So let's move inside the garage and actually make a cut. All right, we got our safety glasses on because I am actually fairly terrified of this damn thing. But we're going to make our first cut. Wish me luck. Not too shabby for our first cut. That's actually like really freaking smooth. All right, let's go test fit it. Not to brag, but I'm pretty freaking amazing. Check this out. So right here, this gap between here and here is 3 inches straight. So we nailed it right there, if it would. So right at that 3-inch mark. Then we come all the way down here, and this line lined up with that. This line is the same thickness as another bar past it. Yeah, I'm counting that as a win. Come on. Like, only, I don't know, 1,000 more of those cuts to go. But I nailed the first one, and momentum is motivation, and perfection is to be celebrated. Yeah, put that on a calendar or something. Anyway, let's go make like 1, 2, 3 more of those cuts. All right. Put on some headphones just to protect it a little bit. And then also, remember how I was bragging out there in the van that I was so smart and I thought through this whole inch thing? I forgot that those uprights would be sitting on a rail that's 1 inch thick. So I actually have to deduct 1 inch. Anyway, back to cutting, but I mean, come on. All right, it is the next day and all of the pieces are cut. So we're gonna try and do a rough assembly. I'm not gonna be super worried about how tight they are, but I kinda wanna get an idea of piecing it all together, and then I'll take it out to the van and see what it looks like all in there, and then we can move on to the next box. so we already ran into my first issue. So I'm trying to leave this bar a little loose because it needs to slide and hit the tank, even though this goes all the way to the door. So trying to get this all assembled, I'm realizing that the order of operations to get all of this together is very important, and I'll have to keep that in mind in the future. But the bigger issue that I'm running into is I realized I cut a third one that goes the full length, but this one will actually go all the way. Additionally, I cut these to be the whole length here. And really, they need to stop short so that this rests on the vertical, so that all of the weight that's spread across these two bars goes straight down. So, learning and enjoying the experience, but already made some costly mistakes. I'm gonna continue going forward as is, and I will make another cut once I have a little bit more figured out and I don't repeat the same mistakes. So back to it. We got something in here. It's a structure. It's doing not a lot, but we built something. It's in here. I do think I'm going to cut off an inch here on these top braces so I can have another one just to give a little more rigidity. But come up, put the hot water heater here, plumbing, pumps, filters. We're working on We've got something in the van, and it is freezing. So we're going to pick this up tomorrow. All right, so for the electrical cabinet, if we go back to the design I did on the computer, it kind of looks like this, and this little cutout is for the wheel well. So I've got my cut list, and I know what dimensions I want here and what dimensions I want here. And again, I want it to rest on top of this so that all the weight is going down into the floor, which is the structure of it. The only thing is I'm not going to build out this little middle support because that's for the actual like electronics box, the converter, the main thing, and I don't know the exact dimensions. I kind of found some rough ones online, so I'm going to wait till I actually get that. And then the other thing is I'm going to build out all of this until I get to this point, and then I'm going to actually go put it in there and measure and just double check that these things are correct. So, back over to the saw. Alright, so I got the core pieces cut out, and now I'm going to build this, and I'm going to build it from the top down because those are solid dimensions that I can go off of, and then kind of leave this little gap for later. I think I'm gonna end this week's video here. This is the skeleton of the electrical cabinet. This is kind of left open because the batteries will be stacked here. This is the start of the water cabinet. This will be built up to be level with this, and then my bed will be on top of these things, and this will kind of be like that little garage under bed storage space. So now that these are kind of framed out and I have an idea of where this will stop, in next week's video I will start planning out the design of the desk and see if I can get it to work on the passenger side. If not, then we'll start switching the design up and seeing what we can do on that side. This was my first build video, so I'm still unsure of how to do all the different filming and angles and what people want to see, what they don't want to see of the process. So if there's something that I kind of skipped over that you'd like to see more in depth, or if there's parts that you thought I could cut out because you want to see something else, just let me know down below. It is a little complicated trying to film and do all this work at the same time, so I'll do my best. And also let me know if you appreciate the new lens that I got halfway through the video, see if it helps. And thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you around the bend.